Alright, welcome back guys. So this is going to be part 2 of the Corolla Junkyard Corolla 86 Corolla GT. So anyways, me and Jamie just got back from lunch. I took care of a few things while I was out on lunch. Got some more parts ordered for the motor. We stopped by O'Reilly's and just went ahead and picked them up. So I am going to have to enter them into my part system. So it's going to look like I'm ordering stuff and we're going to like instantly get it, but I've done already bought the parts. They're here. I just have to enter it into my system. That way it's recorded in our books. That way we can keep up with, you know, how much we're spending, how much we're making, and how much we're blessing people. Because that's a really important factor too. So income is last, because I already know we're going to get an income. Jesus is not going to let us fall. I mean, if we're going into the hole for the week, we'll go fire up that drag car and we'll start tearing up that drag strip again. That's what we built it for, right? So, but other than that, I want to try to run a successful business, even with blessing people and still being able to make a profit. So, let's go ahead and continue this motor build. So we got the camshafts in. Go ahead and lube them up with assembly lube. Put some gloves on, that way you ain't got all that stuff all over your hands. But just be careful. I have actually done this before. I was holding a camshaft and it belonged to my friend. You know, I ended up having to buy another one, but I was holding it and it slipped out of my hands because of the gloves and the assembly lube, and I don't know how it happened, but because it fell down and hit the concrete really hard, and I guess, you know, that was the Lord just saying, hey, that's a bad camshaft, because whenever I dropped it, it actually broke it. Like it was brittle or something. I don't know how to explain it, but it was crazy. Whenever I dropped it on the ground, it literally just like snapped in half. Like, I guess those things are made out of a really, really hard steel, maybe, and you know, it's not made for blunt force trauma. It just has it's just a really strong but brittle. I don't know how to explain it. It doesn't have any bend to it, I guess I should say, like titanium. It's really strong, but you can't really bend it. It'll break real easy. Or, well, it's not really easy to break, but it just doesn't have any bend to it, I should say. So, but anyways, yeah, I dropped a camshaft on the ground and it broke it. And luckily it was just a factory camshaft, so I think maybe it may have had some problems already. But we end up going up there to U-Pull it. Somebody had a car up there of the same, wasn't the same year model, but same engine, and we had to do a timing belt up there, and that was the worst timing belt I've ever done, because whoever got out there and was pulling parts off of this car, they took a torch to something. Like, that was how bad that they were wanting this part, and they just started cutting stuff. I was like, oh my Lord. I was like, how are we going to get this out of here? And it was the only vehicle up there. My friend was like, I don't know, but we got to get it. Like, he was pretty much telling me, I don't know, you're going to figure it out. You're going to get this part because you broke it. And anyways, he's not a friend of mine no more. He kind of went his separate way. He got caught up in the car world, and you know, that was the only thing that was important to him. He met up with some people. You know, I had a family I had to raise at that point in time, or was trying to raise, and I couldn't go to all the events and all this other stuff that you know, he was going to. And because I couldn't go to him, he was like, oh, you're abandoning the car scene. Yeah, I'm abandoning it whenever it comes to my family. That's, you know, my kids and stuff are more important than cars. But this boy didn't have any cars or any children or anything. All he had was his cars. He lived with his mama. You know, he didn't have no bills, so he could dump all of his money that he made into his vehicles. So You know, he was always one step ahead of me, no matter what, with buying parts. But the thing was, he didn't know how to put them on. So he would buy all this stuff, and then he wouldn't know how to assemble the stuff. And once he started learning how to do that, I learned really quick that I really wasn't, you know, a friend to him. He just needed me to put his cars together, and once he learned how to do it on his own, he never did really contact me no more. You know, he kind of got, he didn't get too famous, but he does actually, from what I heard, he does have like a YouTube channel, or he went into, to somebody else's YouTube channel. I guess he merged with them, and you know, they're kind of hitting it. They're not on the top charts or anything, but they're pretty famous around the Monroe area. Started his own car club, and you know, he's real picky about who gets in. You know, I went up there with my B18 swapped Honda Civic, and this used to be one of his favorite cars. We both always used to talk about, oh, we're gonna get this Civic and do the B18, you know, the B18 Type R swap, and he still hadn't found one of them cars or done it. He was too busy messing with other cars. In the night that I showed up with this car and he saw it, you could just see the hate in this man's eyes. Like, what are you hating on my little Honda for whenever you got like 6 vehicles and one of them is a R35 Skyline GTR? Now, I'm not going to say what he ended up starting to do for a business. He got into the adult, we'll just say the adult video and photography business. And that's how he's making his money. So I didn't have no means of being around him no more. That, you know, that wasn't the life I wanted to be chasing. I almost fell into it whenever I was in Monroe. It was, you know, especially after you go through a divorce and you're alone, you're real susceptible of doing dumb stuff, I should say. So, either way, you know, I didn't follow that path. I ended up trying to make my marriage work again, and it just didn't work. So, but I know I put my maximum effort into it this last time, and once certain things happened, I got the okay and prayer, you know, because of certain things that had happened. You know, I had grounds for a divorce. Even in biblical, you know, biblically, there was grounds for it. So I didn't fight for it back. I said, this is it. I'm done. I'm not going to do this ever again. And I told myself I would never get married again. And, yeah, I had to eat those words. But, you know, Jamie has never done anything to me like that. So she has not done nothing but help me since we've always knew her. And that's a funny story, because whenever we first knew each other, I was in college taking welding, and she actually worked for the college. She was a guidance counselor, and she used to hang out like the dumbest, most obnoxious people ever. Like, I could not stand being around them because they were always making a bunch of noise, interrupting class, just trying to be the center of the attention, but they were just being the center of attention of being a dum-dum. So I really didn't hang out with her. I avoided her whenever I was younger. I was like, nah, I ain't even fixing to get around that group. But, you know, if she just would have come up and told me, hey, you know, I'm kind of interested in you, instead of just playing that role of, oh, I'm just going to stare at you all weird like, but I'm not going to say anything, yeah, that's not going to get you in there. It's not going to get you in the end zone, baby. So, but boy, I wish she would have back then. It would have been a lot of time wasted. You know, I could have recovered, but I don't look at it as a waste of time now. Every one of your trials, even though it was something bad, it was meant for you to go through. And because of certain things happening to me into that time, it molded me to be the person that I am today. So, which is, I mean, I'm making it, guys. I'm getting in there. Like, I'm for sure in the book. of lambs. So, I mean, every night I'm in prayer. I'm in prayer majority of the day, like all the time. Like I'm constantly praying about something, and it feels so much better to be in prayer and to know that, you know, you got somebody looking over you all the time. It never goes away. So, just, I didn't understand that whenever I was younger. So, I'm glad I do now. And I wish other people could understand it, but they really won't until they commit to it. And I couldn't tell a difference until I committed to it. But once I did, I saw that little bit of a positive, hey, I heard what you said. Because even though it was a little thing that happened, it was an extreme deal to me. So, and I don't ever bring up what it is, because that's between me and my Heavenly Father. But you will have things like this that nobody else, you can talk with nobody else. It's not like I did anything illegal or nothing. I mean, he ain't going to help me do anything like that. But it was something that was going on that only he could have done. There was no other way that anybody else could have done this. And that's about all I'm going to go into with it. So, he definitely wanted me alive. That's all I can say. Like, I got a purpose, and I found that purpose. And whenever you find your purpose in life, that is the biggest relief. Oh my God, it's the biggest relief ever. And I can answer that. Everybody has the same purpose. It's just they don't believe in it. They always think it's something else, and it's always something that they're seeking. The purpose in life is first, accept Jesus as your Lord and Savior. That's the first thing. Once you get that, then you'll start seeing things happen. You know, try to refrain from sin. We're all going to make mistakes. It's still going to happen. But if you try your best, I mean, you can't go wrong. You just can't go wrong. You know, you do that. You dedicate, you find something that you really love doing. Like I like mowing yards. I like working on cars. So I got me a lawn business. I started, you know, I don't really work on other people's cars no more because everybody's trying to sue each other nowadays. But at least I can save myself a buck, you know, with my kids' help, because I can't do everything that I used to do, especially with not being able to see right and the 4 disc in my back. But I can definitely get them to help me, and we can make it happen. So, you know, find a job that you really love doing. Don't do something that you're not going to like doing every day. And I like doing ministry work. Like, I never thought I would be considered as a preacher of any sort, much less a social media preacher. How often do you ever hear of a social media preacher? Like, you never hear of this. Now, I thought we painted that. I know we did. So, as long as you're doing everything in glory of Him, it don't matter what you do. That's it. As long as you're doing it and you're teaching other people His words, like how I teach people is the stuff that happens in my life. Like, I see 100% reflection on it. I'm like, okay, this works. I'm gonna spread it. Either way, it's still the words of Jesus Christ. So I mean, you're still doing it. And it's just so great. Like, I don't know how to explain it. A lot of people will be like, oh, well, this guy's brainwashed or whatever. You don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, I mean, there was at one point in time I felt like Christians were brainwashed, and I didn't believe what they were talking about until it actually worked for me, and my prayers worked. My prayers get answered, and it is so slow and minute at first that you barely will see it, but as you build into it, I mean, you can see it plain as day. You are blinded. It tells you that in the Bible. You will not understand this at first. You're completely blinded to it. But as you learn and you pay attention, and you literally have to read the Bible in order to know how to do these things. And don't say you got to start from the beginning. Just look up a verse on Google. Like, if you're having a problem in your life, learn the power of prayer. The power of prayer is so unreal that it almost seems like magic almost, and I don't know, there's no such thing as magic, but there's illusions, and I don't even want to call it magic because it's not. Uh, it is guaranteed 100%, you know, Jesus and God working in your life. There is no other way of putting it. So there's no magic, but it to another person, an unbeliever, it will seem like magic. So. What in the world is going on here? Oh, there it was, right there. Alright, so, we had to order this part from O'Reilly's real quick. I did not have it in my inventory. Dang, this thing, I've never seen an engine like this. I guess because I'd never working on this car before neither, but you know it's kind of funny. Oh, it looked like the spark plugs wasn't matching up to that, but we've already got some wires like this. We already got some in stock. I ordered all my ignition products and got them in, so that's it, guys. We got an assembled motor. It's ready to go in the car. So let's go get the motor hoist. We'll put it over here at the front of the car with the engine on it. So, okay, we are going to use this product in rack 1. Alright, so we drag it behind us, you know, the routine. Put the engine on the stand. And we push it over here, get it lined up in front of the car. But first, we got to put our subframe into there because that's what the motor sits on. Unless you tie it up to the actual motor mounts that are connected to the frame, but this one connects directly to the subframe. So let's go ahead and put it in there. We was able to rebuild it. We're gonna throw some of these good polyurethane mounts in there, that black polyurethane. I wish they had some red ones where you could paint these bushings red, but I don't think you can actually paint the bushings red. So I gotta look and see what all stuff you can actually paint. It would be cool if you could paint the suspension springs and maybe like the struts, and every part really needs to be paintable. Like if you wanted to, you could build a rainbow colored car if you wanted to, but you know, don't take that the wrong way. I mean, you know, I like rainbows and all because it's the promise of God, you know, saying that he would never flood the earth and kill everybody again. But I know there's a few out there that look at that rainbow color as a different thing. Nah, I ain't getting into that. I do not hate nobody, and I do not hate you. One day you'll see something's up, something's wrong, something doesn't make sense. And hopefully it's before rapture, but if not, you'll believe it once tribulation comes. Everybody will. But you'll still have some of the left fielders that are like, oh, this can't be true. The aliens done all of this. Okay. That's just whatever. You think if there was actually aliens, we wouldn't have already seen them by now? You know, if they wouldn't have done come down and done eradicated us for destroying the planet, because that's the only thing we've done since we've had it, is destroy it. So, yeah, I'm pretty sure they would have done cleaned house by now. And it ain't happened yet. So, of course, the same thing unbelievers say, well, if Jesus is going to come back, he would have already come back by now. Things are getting so bad. No, they are not getting bad. You just haven't read Revelations yet. Like right now, it is a cakewalk compared to what is really going to happen. So it's worse than the earth getting flooded. So it will say this will be the worst time of any other in all history. So please, guys, understand the importance of what I'm telling you. It's there. So let's go ahead and get this rack out of the way, and we got our engine into there. Man, that thing looks good. Man, it's got some dark blood red valve covers. That's like a dark red. I thought it was going to be a little bit lighter than that, but it still looks good. We'll go ahead and put some oil in the motor because I always tend to forget this part. And one day I'm going to accidentally crank one of these cars up that don't have the electronics to say, hey, there's no oil in it, and I'm going to be rebuilding another engine. So let's go ahead and check the stick on it. Where is it? Boy, they got this thing up underneath the intake. I figured it could take a little bit more, but it's in operating condition, so we're good. We don't have to add no more oil. Let's see. Alright, so we got the engine on here. We can really start working on suspension and then do all the underhood last. We can put the wiring harness, you know, on the motor. But this is a distributor vehicle. So it doesn't have to, all it needs is a 12-volt source to power the magneto, and that's it. It doesn't need no crank angle sensor or none of that. All that is right here, and it's vacuum controlled from the intake manifold. Whenever it detects that there is no vacuum, whenever you open it all the way up, well, what it does is it advances the distributor. As you start building RPM, it starts advancing the timing. That way you got good upper end power. But as soon as you let off of the gas, it retards it and gives you, you know, good low end power, where if you're barely pushing the gas pedal, there's still a lot of vacuum in that cylinder. In fact, the vacuum don't ever go away on an NA. Even if you open the throttle all the way up, there's still a vacuum in this chamber. Now, whenever you apply a turbo to this, then you don't have a vacuum, but you got positive boost pressure building up into the intake manifold. You know, no matter what, even if you floor this vehicle, it's still going to create a vacuum. The turbo is not going to build, yeah, it will build pressure in the intake, because that's where it picks up the PSI from. Okay, so yeah, it puts a positive pressure into it. But I am a friend of the chemical power, the chemistry of making an engine go faster, which is nitrous oxide. That is my favorite source of power. It's the cheapest. You can leave the vehicle stock. You don't need to tune the ECU for it. The rule of thumb is, as you add nitrous, you have to add fuel. That's really important. Because your injectors do not add the extra fuel that your motor needs whenever you're spraying it with nitrous, unless you got a standalone computer system that accommodates for this. But then that means you need an upgraded fuel system, upgraded injectors, and all that other stuff. Wouldn't you just like to leave the motor completely stopped? Just put a better fuel pump into there, that way, and a fuel pressure regulator, that way it can supply your nitrous system with fuel, which is shot into the intake. Like, what it would be is you would have a solenoid sitting over here to the side in the engine bay. You would have fuel going to it, and it's a pressurized solenoid that takes your pressurized nitrous and it mixes fuel all at the same time, and it sprays it into the intake right here. It would sit right about here, and it would spray up into this intake only at full throttle. You can't use nitrous at half throttle, only at full throttle. And that, I mean, why would you want to use nitrous at half throttle? If you're at half throttle, that's saying you don't need the full power of this engine. But whenever you floor it and it's not enough power, then that's whenever nitrous and fuel come into play. Because nitrous is like liquid boost. Like a turbocharger pushes air into the motor, nitrous oxide is a liquid form of oxygen, and it's in an extremely concentrated level. That's the reason why you have to add more fuel, or else it will lean the engine out and it will blow it up. You'll have knock and all types of stuff. But if you get that balance of fuel and nitrous correctly, which you can monitor it with a wideband O2 sensor that would go about right here in the exhaust, that way you can read your engine EGTs. Some people got sensors in each cylinder. They can monitor both cylinders, but you got to think about it. Whenever you're spraying nitrous in here, an equal amount is going to be fed down to all four cylinders. You know, you may get a little bit more, and you would think you would get a little bit more into this first one, but that air is coming in so fast that it hits the back of this intake manifold, spirals around, and then gets sucked down into the the intake runners. Well, while you got this disturbance of air going on, it's mixing atomized nitrous and fuel in with the air that it's pulling in and adding it into the cylinder, and then your injector's squirting even more fuel into there. So then you have a tremendous bang with nitrous. I mean, it's a boom. You're creating a ton of power. And that's the thing. You can drive your vehicle around in its stock form. And if you ever want to play, you want to get on the road, all you got to do is just build the engine. Like if you were building a turbo motor, you build it strong, because nitrous is very strong. Like, it is extremely. In fact, whenever it says, and this is dyno proven, whenever I had my Prelude, before I could afford a turbo kit for it, I was running nitrous on it because it was the cheapest form of the most horsepower. The only thing that kind of sucked is you had to find somebody that would, refill your bottle for you. But we had a track up in Monroe, a few vendors that, air and gas companies that did sell. We got to build some struts, nitrous oxide, and I could get it for about, I think during that time it was like $3.85 a pound. And I had one of the big bottles. I had the 15-pound bottle with a heater. Now, you hear this heater. Now, I know y'all have seen this. To explain what the heater does is it keeps your bottle pressure up. Have you ever taken like a spray can or a can of air duster, let's just say that, oxygen, liquid oxygen, you're spraying it out of the can? You ever notice whenever you're cleaning your computer, that can gets really, really cold? Well, think about it. Whenever something gets cold and it's up underneath pressure, it causes it to lose a lot of pressure. So as you're spraying nitrous, your bottle pressure starts dropping, depending on, how much nitrous and fuel you're shooting to the motor. Well, it starts cooling that bottle off, and I mean, it gets so cold it builds a layer of ice on the side of it. So what that bottle blanket does is it heats the bottle up, and it keeps the pressure up. But a lot of people, it looked like somebody was going to blow their car up one night. I about lost it the first time I saw somebody doing that. But nitrous by itself is not explosive. And a lot of people will argue, oh yes it is, you can do this. Nitrous is an accelerant. But if you were to take nitrous and take anything that could not burn out of the equation and stick a lighter to it, it's not going to blow up. It's not going to do like a butane flame, like if you were to take a Axe body can, and I know people have done this with lighters. It's not safe, guys. Do not do that. It can blow your hand off, but it shoots a flame out of it. But nitrous won't do that. What it does is if you add oxygen that is stuff is burning, it accelerates and makes fuel more explosive than what it is, naturally. We got to get another box of bushings. Boy, I told y'all guys, we went through a box of 50 bushings that fast. So, but yeah, nitrous is, I like it with the new monitoring systems that they got now. It is so, like, it's pretty safe as long as you build the motor for it. But you can even put nitrous on a stock motor. Like my Prelude engine was completely bone stock, and I was hitting it. I finally walked it up to a 100 shot, but then my fuel pump, was using 100% duty cycle, trying to keep up with the nitrous system and supply the engine with fuel. And then it started leaning out. I started catching as the RPMs were getting up on top end, it would start my air to fuel ratio would start getting lean, and boy did it make some power whenever it was leaning out. But I also watched that coolant gauge start creeping up on me, and I mean, it was doing it within a matter of seconds. It was creating some tremendous amount of heat. If you add oxygen to a fire, it burns hotter. If you add oxygen for fuel, it makes a bigger bang. So then I started running fuel additives because, I couldn't afford a fuel pump then. and I wanted to keep running my 100 shot, so I would get 93, and then I would go up to O'Reilly's and I would buy the 108 octane booster that would give me 3 numbers. So I would actually be running like, what, 97, 98 octane, and it would support it enough. That's how I could tell if octane boosters actually worked. Because if they work, then my EGTs and my air-fuel ratio would be down. You know, it would still be in a good you know, a good ratio. But if the octane booster didn't work, my engine would start leaning back out again, and I would have to let out of it. You know, I couldn't stay into it for a long time, and it would take, you know, time for the engine to cool back down and all this other stuff, because they get hot whenever you're doing it. But if you add more fuel to it, you can keep the cylinder cool with fuel. That's the reason why a lot of people that are shooting nitrous, they actually run a substituted fuel. Like they have like a little 5-gallon tank of maybe E85 or methanol, and they shoot methanol with nitrous, which E85 has a really high octane because it's alcohol. That's basically what E85 is alcohol. So it's a little bit harder for it to pop. So whenever you're spraying E85 and nitrous into your cylinder, one, you're not sacrificing your fuel system. You're actually adding a fuel source that is a lot more tolerant to heat, and that E85, being that it's alcohol being sprayed and atomized, it actually cools your cylinder temperature down with it, and methanol works the same way. So I just ran a little standalone pump, you know, ran another fuel pump, just a cheap one, because it didn't need a whole lot for the nitrous system. And it supplied my nitrous system. As soon as I turned on that switch, it started pumping fuel to my what do you call that? The little solenoid box where it regulates. That's where you put your jets in on how much nitrous and fuel. But the thing was, even though I was running a 75 shot on my car, it was putting like 85 horsepower to the wheels. So nitrous guarantees, you know, exactly what it's going to say whenever you put this jet in. So nitrous horsepower is a little bit more than, you know, regular regular measured horsepower. If a jet says it's a 50 shot, you're probably going to get more than a 50 shot out of it. It's going to be like a 65 or possibly a 70, you know, depending on how good your kit is. So you have to be careful. You always start out small. I started out with a 50 shot, and on the dyno it was giving me about 60 wheel horsepower with a 50 horsepower shot. And then I jumped up to a 75, and it was like, you know, 83 extra horsepower. And whenever, you know, I jumped up to the 100 shot, it was like 120 horsepower. So as you go up bigger in shots, it produces more power. So you have to make sure your fuel pump can keep up with it. So whenever I started spraying E85 with it, it bumped my octane level up in my fuel, and made it harder to pop. So that meant whenever that nitrous got in there and it did finally accelerate, it was a lot cooler cylinder temperatures. I had more bang for my buck. I didn't have to go in there and swap out to bigger jets because my kit only went up to 125 shot, which I eventually got to. Which that 125 shot was like 150 wheel horsepower. But you know, once again, I ran into not enough fuel, and then I needed to start working on my timing, and I needed an adjustable computer. So if you want to add a good 100 horsepower to your car, like a good 100 solid 120 without tearing up something, nitrous is the way to go. And 100 horsepower in a car that extra horsepower that doesn't weigh but about 2,000 pounds, you can be rolling at 60 miles per hour and punch it and spray at the same time, and it's going to break the front tires loose. And you have to watch that, because if that engine revs up, you got to have something that kills your nitrous if it over revs the engine. And that's what the EFI safe kit does through I think it's Nitrous Express. Is it Nitrous Express that makes it? I know Nitrous Oxide Systems. Nitrous Express makes the EFI safe kit. It's a wet safe kit. And Sniper is another one. Zex, that was the one that I had. I had a purple bottle. It wasn't a nitrous oxide bottle. I love the color of that purple bottle. And I had a 15-pound bottle. And I didn't use it every day. You know, I only used it if my car wasn't fast enough to outrun my opponent that I was up against. But like I said, once I got over 100 horsepower shot, then I started having problems with traction issues, unless we were doing like a punch at 80 miles per hour, which, you know, punching at 80 miles per hour is a fourth gear drop. And once VTEC kicks in, that's whenever about 500 RPM after VTEC kicks in is whenever I had my nitrous system wired up to go ahead and start spraying. And if it ever jumped up, I think it was because mine was a Type S Prelude motor. If it ever got over, like, I think it was like 8,000 RPM, I had it, you know, to kill the nitrous system, because the car really starts falling on its face at 8 grand anyways. But it was a completely bone stock motor. The only thing I had was a full exhaust system, bigger throttle body, and a cold air intake, which you have to have one of them so you can put the nitrous and fuel nozzle where it can spray it into your intake. You know, it's not like a direct port nitrous system where you're cutting holes into the intake, spraying nitrous directly into the cylinder, and you got to program the computer. It's just, all that's just way too much. You know, too much stuff you got to deal with. But it was a fun car. You could feel the difference though. But I had to have my bottle heater on, and it really, you know, was poop during the winter time, because the bottle would already be cold, and I would have to wait for my bottle temperature to heat back up, because if you ever dropped, I think it was below like 1,000 psi, you wasn't getting an efficient hit or sufficient amount of nitrous for your jet, and it would start throwing a lot more fuel, and things would get too rich. And if you're too rich, you don't make as much power, you know. And then you start fouling out plugs and stuff. And since I was shooting E85, son, it was really running rich. But anyways, I figured I'd go over, you know, how nitrous system was work. As for this car, we got the rack and pinion in. Oh yeah, the drive axles don't go up here because it's not a front wheel drive. I'm trying to figure out why won't it let me put the axles in. It's because I don't have them. It doesn't have them up here. But let's go ahead and get the rear. Whoa, too far. Let's go ahead and get the rear end in. Alright, wind my way down here on the floor. And there we go. We raise it back up, leave it on the jack stand. And what we're going to do is we're going to hang it by the shock absorber again. Brand new shock absorber. Ain't going to hurt anything. This rear end don't really weigh that much, but it's enough to hang it off of it. But what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and put our solid control arms, and that's going to help support it too. And we'll put these U-bolts and stuff. Alright, it's going to keep it from flipping. There we go. Alright, you got that. Come on, get over here. Do the same thing on the other side. Make sure y'all don't forget to put these, ooh, don't forget to put them in there, boy. It'll be bad. Especially with this being a drift car, the first time they torque up and it snatches that arm back. I know y'all remember the LS Swap BMW. Yeah, that's the kind of noise they're going to be dealing with. And they are going to be mad, son. They're going to be mad. So, yeah, we got to make sure we put them bushings in, because we know this person's about to abuse this car. They're going to go out there and start, you know, drift racing it. Ooh, boy, I'm starting to, like, lose my voice and stuff. I don't know if I just talk too much today or what's going on. But, either way, I got about 20 more minutes of the battery, so I'm going to try to hang in there, guys. It's already in the afternoon. It's been a long day. You know, trying to go up there to O'Reilly's and find these parts and get everything that I need. Then I got to go in there where it looks like I'm ordering the parts and put it through our system, even though we done already went up there and bought it. But we got all the stuff to build this car back there in our lockup, so kind of know what we're already up against. I know we're going to need this drive shaft. Let's see, because nobody would be able to go nowhere without that. So, alright. Let's see this. So I got that. Okay, I got it, so I'm going to keep going. Solid axle. Got it. Go ahead and put the brake pads and stuff on back here. Let's see. Oh, that's alright. These are good pads. We got one. Okay, wait a minute. Got 1, 2, 3. Okay, so I gotta build some more, what is it, brake calipers. I gotta paint some more, so, where we go, we'll go ahead and put that on there. We know we're gonna put these on there. Oh yeah, we got our tires. Let's go ahead and throw one of the tires on just to see what we're up against. Alright, and here we go. Oh yeah, low profile like there ain't no tomorrow. Which tires like this are good for drifting, because they don't have a lot of sidewall flex. Whenever you stomp on it, they're gonna spin or they're gonna grip. And depending on you know, what type of compound the tire is, and also how wide the tire is. If it's a really wide tire, it's gonna grip anyways. It's gonna grip a lot more than one that ain't got a wide tire. I know that, but I think we'll have enough horsepower to get this one to at least be able to drift in first and second. Anything after that, they're just gonna have to come back to me, and you know, we'll upgrade it some more. If not, I'll swap an engine into it. I'll put one of them LS motors into it. I guarantee you'll spin the wheels in. But did I get everything? Yeah. Alright, so let's go ahead and balance them. There we go. There. Whoa, okay. I was gonna say, I don't know why I'm having to balance tires. If I buy them brand new, they should already come balanced straight out of the box and mounted, but that's the way it was whenever I got my first tire and wheel set for my first car. Was I bought some tire and wheel package from Tire Rack, and whenever they come to the house, all I had to do was take them out of the cardboard box and literally bolt them on my car. No balancing, no getting the tires put on, all that malarkey that wastes half your day. It comes to the house ready to be put on the vehicle. Now, if you can't manage to get out there and jack your vehicle up and change a tire, then I'll probably think you need to be working on a vehicle then. Because either you don't really care, or I don't know, I ain't gonna speak for nobody. Let's see. May have something going on, but I know that, let's see. Ooh, guys. Yeah, I'm getting drugged down. I think I'm gonna throw this tire onto here. I've been kind of getting tired today. Maybe I shouldn't have ate such a big lunch, but oh yeah, this is gonna look nice. We'll do it on that gold too. Let's see. Why are you not going onto here? Okay. There we go. Alright. Let me look at it. What? Alright, so that thing's gonna be cool there. Why are you doing this? I don't know how I'm just gonna forget that. Which, those don't normally break, so not too bad unless you're hitting potholes like Jamie's supercharged Pontiac that she's got. Man, this whole arm is bent right here. It's bent out this way, and it smashed this little ball joint loose out of there. So I don't know what happened there, but it wasn't like that. Lord, here we go. I forgot to put the yeah, that's it, guys. I was just sat down here in the chair for a little bit, and I kind of dozed off. So I'm gonna go ahead and tell Jamie we're supposed to head to the house. It's kind of late. I only got 10 minutes of battery left, so there is going to be a part 3. I figured it was going to be, since we were building a whole car. But anyways, guys, we'll get started on that tomorrow. It's going to be Saturday morning. We're going to head out to the drag strip. We're going to get some racing in, and we're going to have this car ready for Monday, and hopefully I can get it done, you know, Saturday after lunch, after we get finished racing, and then I can start on this car Sunday. But we're going to get to this car as soon as possible, because we're going to keep this car. This is going to be my all-wheel drive racer if I can get the decent amount of horsepower out of it. But anyways, that is going to be optional. Why did I take the rim off of here again? See, I can't even remember why I done it. So I know I'm getting tired. And just some days it's rough. I'm dealing with one of them right now. I can even hear it in my voice. Alright. Come on. Let's get this last little thing on here so I can let this car down, because I don't like leaving cars raised up overnight just in case the seals in my jack fell. Because I never do hear as it's going up, the pop, or the safety mechanism, where if the rack does leave oil, it will get caught on that safety latch. So, but they are really hard to get off of there unless you build up enough pressure to get it off of there. So anyways, let's see, what was I missing? I don't even know why I didn't even put the brakes on this side. It's not making any sense. I'm not remembering stuff correctly. Oh yeah, now I remember why. Because you didn't have any painted brake calipers. That is the reason why. So it looks like I'm going to be breaking down the front one again. But anyways, I just wanted to see what it looked like. Let's put it on the ground. Dude, I know there is no way that car didn't even just drop a little bit I know if I get into there, it'll drop it. But anyways, guys, alright, that's it. We're calling it. Jamie's done said that she's done shut down everything in the shop and locked up. All I gotta do is kill the main power out here, set the alarm, and lock the door, and we are headed to the house. So I'm gonna catch y'all on the tomorrow morning. We'll share our word, and we're gonna immediately get started. So anyways, guys, y'all have a blessed night and a blessed tomorrow. And like I said, if y'all go through any of my videos and y'all like it, man, hit the like button. It only helps me out so I can help other people. I will not do anything with the money that is coming in, because first of all, if you cheat God out of his money, oh yeah, your life is horrible. I can tell you, you're gonna lose everything. That's the reason why I don't even have a real auto mechanic business to this day. But either way, guys, it's been nice. It's been fun. I'm glad to do it. I love sharing the word. So I'll catch y'all tomorrow. Like I said, y'all have a blessed night and a better tomorrow. We'll see y'all later. Bye.